There's no engagement ring in the world that beats a woman's personal and professional accomplishments, period. Yeah. Welcome to 2190's podcast, Asking for a Friend. I'm your host, Elisabeth Ovesen, New York Times bestselling author, relationship columnist, and self-love strategist. Well, I'm here with Alex.
Oh, sounds so happy to see me.
I'm so happy to see you always.
So I'm feeling the pressure of marriage.
Okay.
Did you hear about Simone Biles and Jonathan O's?
Oh, they got engaged.
They got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make a super baby.
Right.
Like, those two and their athletic abilities, it's going to be crazy.
A super baby.
But yeah, they got engaged. Everyone's getting engaged.
Everyone's getting engaged? Yes. Or just them?
I mean, that's everyone.
That's everyone. Yeah, I saw that. But there was something about it that bothered me.
What?
And I hate to say this because I love young love.
Yes.
Young love is amazing.
It is.
I had a problem with something she said. I know. What could Simone Biles possibly do that's not perfect?
That's not perfect.
Because I feel like she's a perfect specimen of a human being. But there's just one thing. She said that the engagement ring was, quote, that it definitely beats a gold medal.
Oh. Huh.
And instantly I was like, oh.
Why?
Because Simone Biles is the greatest right now at what she does.
Okay.
I think it's an amazing feat for anyone to be an Olympian and to be that good. Mm-hmm. But for a woman, it's incredible. And for a Black woman, it is spectacular.
Okay. And
that I know that it takes so much dedication, time. It's a life of practice. From the time you're very young to be able to get to where she is. Mm-hmm. She has dedicated and focused on her career her entire life thus far. Mm-hmm. And it shows.
Absolutely.
Right. Nobody disagrees. You cannot disagree with her greatness.
She's the best.
Absolutely. That's her accomplishment. That's hers. Mm-hmm. Without anything else, she did that. And her coaches and people who helped her and everyone who was involved in that success. But at the end of the day, it's still her having to get up there and do that. There's no engagement ring in the world that beats a woman's personal and professional accomplishments, period.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't beat it. I feel like these two things can exist in her world at the same time without the engagement to a man negating her accomplishments that she started working on before she ever knew him.
I see what you're saying.
Imagine working for something your entire life, and then someone comes into your life and then is like, well, now this person, whatever they do beats what you've worked so hard to accomplish. Mm-hmm. I just felt in that way, negating her personal and professional accomplishments, it's kind of cringy for me.
I see what you're saying, but is one more important than the other?
Right. So I don't want to say that your work is more important than your personal relationship, your love relationship specifically. I think both can exist in the same universe. I don't think you have to focus on one or the other. I think you can focus on one or the other. Like most things we talk about on the show, I believe that there are no rules. So do whatever is best for you. But there are those moments where I cringe a little bit, especially for women, when we negate what we've done the minute a man comes in and marries us. You know what I mean? Forget who I am as a person and all the work I've done. This beats that. Especially because of how hard women had to work to get to be able to do any of these things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Women were not always allowed to be Olympians. Black women weren't always allowed to do anything. And I feel like women as a whole have worked so hard over the decades to get places. I have some examples.
Let me hear.
I know you love when I pull out my notebook.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So just listen, I'm no historian and I don't have all the answers, but there are a couple of points that I feel I've learned that always stuck with me. Okay. So the sexual revolution started in officially in the late 60s, early 70s in this country. Things changed a lot after that for women. That's my mother's generation. And I don't want to say all of it has been great. I think there's always, improvements to make still. In women's rights and our ability to do things. But when you look back like the 1950s, women were not expected to work. Working women were usually, it was kind of sad. Like, oh, you have to work? What happened? Does your husband die? Or you're an orphan. Like, it's like, oh, poor
like
thing.
Widow, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, did your husband leave you?
Yeah.
Like something bad had to have happened to you for you to have to work.
Yeah.
If a wife wanted to work, her husband would feel it was a slight against him, as if it seemed as if he couldn't take care of her. And it was an embarrassment to him that his wife wanted to or was working. Right. So that means like you're not cutting it. Now your wife got to go work. What's wrong with you?
Like Mad Men, right?
Like, that's my show.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Of course. I watch it every single day.
I love that show.
Like, yeah, when Betty wanted to go back to work and okay. We don't have to get into it now. That's a whole other show. That's our Mad Men podcast.
There we go. Next show.
I can do that all day. All right. So then, even when you get into the 60s, then you get into late 60s, then you get into the sexual revolution that changed everything, the burning of the bras, the we want to be equal to men, which I have a problem with. I have a problem with equality.
What?
I know.
If I said that out loud, I'm crucified.
And, like all the records just scratched, right?
Yeah.
Like, what? Because in a woman's, and I'm talking about social equality.
Okay.
I'm talking about interpersonal equality, right? Okay. Not voting rights and, those things. I'm just talking
gender
about
equality.
Gender equality in interpersonal relationships.
Okay.
The problem with saying that I want to be equal to you is that I'm automatically admitting that I think I'm beneath you.
Okay.
I see you trying to digest that.
Yeah, because it's like, if they're saying, they just want
I'm
equal
already
rights.
better than you. Why do I need to be equal to you? I'm already doing things you can't do. I can do everything you can do, but you can't do everything I can do.
Oh, okay.
Right? I can do whatever. Tell me something you did today and I can do it better than you.
Okay.
There are women out here lifting weights that are UFC fighters. Like, women are out here winning wars in the military. Like, we can do everything you guys can do. Not all of us. Some of us ain't going to the military. But you can't do everything I can do. You can't bleed for a week every single month and live.
Yeah.
You can't carry children, give birth to them, feed them from your body. That alone means I beat you. If this was a competition, I would have already won.
I give you that.
I can actually sustain life. All you give is penis. And then the rest of it is mine to take care of.
But can you put your bag in the overhead though?
But I can put my, you know what? And you know what? I can, but I don't want to. So I always ask a man to do it for me so that he can feel useful in society. I also don't take out my trash. I don't fix things. There's a lot of things I don't do because I'm able not to do it. So I don't want to be equal to you because I feel I'm already better than you. I'm already more equipped than you. I've got more responsibility in the world than you do on a social level. The raising of the children. I'm my son's first teacher. More than anybody else, it's going to be me because he's with me longer than he's with anybody. Right? So because of that, I don't believe that women should strive for equality because we're already doing better than you as a species. Like, we're already we're kind of killing y'all in the ratings. You know? So that's why I don't believe in that.
So you're saying men need equality is what you're saying.
You need to,
Yeah.
You need to be equal to us.
Yeah.
I don't need to be equal to you. You got to step your game up, sir.
All right. I got some work to do.
Yes. All y'all don't get me started on what you guys need to be doing. So yes, you need to be looking for some equality. Okay. You smart. And then so the sexual revolution came and that changed everything. And then you get into the 70s and then you get into your women's liberation movement. So things started changing and Gloria Steinem, Angela Davis, equal rights, and things are becoming legalized. So we're changing a lot. In the 80s, women started holding similar positions. Women even changed their fashion in corporate America to add this just shoulder pads so that we can start emulating your broad shoulders, wanting to gain respect from you visually and creating this visual illusion so you would realize that we're as strong and broad-shouldered as you guys are, which by the way is bull. Like who cares about my shoulders? But this is where we were, just trying to make sure you understood. I'm here. I'm not playing no games. Like I can handle the same load you can handle. I feel like we've been through a lot over the decades, and for us to have traversed so far, and a lot of this, let's be really clear, was a white woman's fight, because Black women have their own set of rights and social issues that white women don't have. So not only did we have to deal with this, but we also have to deal with other things, right? So for a young Black woman to then negate all of her stuff because the first guy who proposed to her did so, it just really kind of broke my heart a little bit. Not gonna lie.
So if you had some advice for Simone, what would it be?
If Simone was my friend, which, in my head, she is, I would love, and I know that Simone's been through a lot with the Olympics just recently.
Yeah.
They really didn't treat her well at all. Yeah. We all saw it. So I understand her being fed up with it. And I understand her wanting to take a break from her career after a lifetime of being focused probably solely on that. Yeah. I think she deserves to switch gears and focus on her love life if she so chooses. So it's totally okay to say, forget all of that for right now. I'm going to go be in love, build a home, get married, and do these things. She's earned the right to do so. I think it's okay to be focused on one thing at a time and then switch your gears and be focused on that other thing if you've gotten to the point where you can afford to do so. Just as I think it's okay to be able to balance those two things too. Sometimes your one focus is work. Sometimes your one focus is love. Sometimes you're able to focus on both. I'm not a person who can focus on both. I have to choose either or. Oh, wow. Absolutely. I cannot be in love and work. Okay. Which is why you haven't seen me in like 6 years. I can't do both. Oh, wow. But for Simone, I would tell her that there are no rules. Do whatever makes your heart happy, but never, ever, ever, ever for anyone, anything, negate the work you've done and the importance of that work. Both things can be important. Your engagement ring could be important, and your gold medals can be important, and they should be, because it's like literally your life's work. I think it's easy to negate that now because you're so sick of them. You know what I mean? Ready to get them out of your hair. Yeah. So I understand that too. Like, I understand that. I think later she'll probably go back and look back at that moment and say, you know what, that wasn't the thing. But yeah, I think I'm happy for her.
That's good.
I'm happy for her.
The advice you gave to Simone was amazing. Simone, I hope you're listening. And now let's take our friends.
Yay!
Let's see if you can give them some amazing advice as well.
Okay, let's
bring
see.
The first one on the line is Hyper Mama. Hyper Mama, you here?
Yep, I'm here.
And what's your question for Elisabeth?
Hi, Elisabeth. Do you believe two alphas who are career-oriented can make a relationship work?
I actually do. I feel like whoever you end up with, you should both be on the same page. So if you are a couple who is each of you are both on the same path, like a career path, and that's your main focus, I think you have a better chance of working out than if one of you is strictly thinking about, family and love and all these things, or maybe you're more personal oriented. And then your partner is more professionally oriented, then you're going in two different directions, right? And then right. I absolutely think so. I think that actually works out better, right? Because then when your partner's working late, but then you also have to work late, then no one's upset. Then you're like, okay, cool, I'll see you like at midnight. Great. But if one partner's waiting at home with dinner cooked and like trying to do this romantic personal relationship thing right now, and the other one's career oriented, you're gonna bump heads on that. So absolutely, they can make it.
Well, my experiences were, like I've had both. I've dated within my profession, and I've also dated when I was starting my career. And I feel like all the things that were attractive to me, to him about me, later on, it became an issue once we started creating a family. And, now he wanted me to do the typical stay at home when I was always still going towards my career. And then when I was working and I was dating in my field, we were so busy, we didn't even have time for each other. So I don't know if it's the type of man I'm attracting, but I've had both and they don't work.
But I wonder if it's because even though, and that's an interesting point. Yeah. What happens when circumstances in the relationship changes? You've been together, you're both in your career track, but now you want to also have a family. Right. And so now one of you expects the other to now stay home and be a stay-at-home mother or father and come off of your career track. And you're like, no. The baby doesn't stop anything. Like, I'm going back to work. I'm getting my career. So you know what I mean? So I feel like you guys have to be able to agree on that before you get into it. Like, this is why I love prenuptial agreements, because you can carve all these out, and they have them also for people who aren't married. It doesn't have to be just a prenup. It could just be an agreement period where we're going through what we expect from each other over time in these situations. And then every time something changes, sitting down, talking about it, writing it down, making a plan, because a lot of, you end up not being compatible anymore because, oh, you expected me to stop being on my career path just because we had kids? Like, no, we're getting a live-in nanny and I'm going back to work. Some people are like that. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I felt punished for, continuing my career goals, and my expectations were not being met. Like, I was expected to now, just be second to his career, and then to, if I would be working overtime.
Understandable. I totally understand. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the question, and you helped us to think of another scenario, which is what happens when things change. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Elisabeth, we have our friend on the line, Tajay.
Oh.
Tajay, are you there?
I am here.
And what's your question for Elisabeth?
So I've been single the past 5 years. Basically, prior to that, had a tendency to throw myself fully and be codependent. So moving forward, how would I prevent going back into those bad habits?
Into codependent habits? And when you say codependent, yes, did this affect your job, your professional life at all?
So it did. I used to put literally everything besides school, because I was on scholarship at the time, but everything else, friends, whatever, fun, he came first before that. So it definitely did affect my dynamic with other people and ultimately my relationship with myself.
Right. So what happens sometimes when we prioritize our relationships over other important aspects of our lives is like you said, you get lost in your relationship and you sometimes forget who you are in other parts of your life. Like, you forget who you are as a friend. You forget who you are as an individual. Sometimes it hinders our school life, our professional life. In going back to dating again, I think it's important that you remember that you are a singular individual even when you're no longer single. So it's important for you to carve out time by yourself. I believe in giving, even when you're dating just one person, having days for that person. So for instance, to say super focused during the week, then your dates don't happen till the weekends. To make sure that you're taking care of your work, your schooling, your home, yourself, your friends. Maybe you see your girls on Sunday for brunch, but his day is a Saturday. I think it's important to compartmentalize our relationships and have the one that we have with ourselves be the biggest part of your week. So if you're looking at it just on a weekly basis, if you have 5 days that are just yours to do what you need to do, but then you've got your Saturdays and your Sundays to split between girlfriends or your boyfriend and family or whatever, I feel like that works out better. Whatever you do, because see, this is what usually happens too. It's like we start getting into like our relationship so much, then we have our boyfriends staying over during the week, and then we're thinking about them all through the day on Tuesday, and then like we're like taking their calls at work on Wednesday, and then then the guy is back during the weekend, and our girls are calling us to go out, and then we're not going out with our girls because he's here. I feel like you have to literally schedule and compartmentalize your life. These days are for me. These days are for my girls. This day or these days are for him. And these things should not intersect. Does that make sense?
Understood.
Yeah? You like
yes,
that?
Yes, ma'am. I love that.
I find that works, and it also creates boundaries for everyone else. And here's what I've realized. The boundaries that we set are really for us, not for other people.
Yes.
So if you think of it in the way of we're setting this boundary for ourselves, my boundary is Monday through Friday, I am focused on me, my work, my home, all the things I have to do for me. That way, when homeboy calls you like 9 o'clock on a Thursday, you'd be like, what are you doing, sir? It's not your day. I'll see you Sunday morning. And that gives him this boundary of, ooh, better not try to see her on a Thursday. You can't, because I'm prioritizing myself, my life, and not you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that doesn't change until you guys like get married, like get serious.
Right.
And he's got to work for that, because he's got to work to get into that weekly
Literally.
thing. You know what I mean?
And one thing I did real quick that helped me is like telling them now, you can text me after my work day. Like Monday through Friday, we can talk, but we're not texting good morning, beautiful to the afternoon.
There you go.
I'll text you when I'm done with my work day.
Ding dong.
But
and
that
that's
Saturday, Sunday aspect is great.
Give them rules, honey. And they love it.
Yes,
Men
ma'am.
love a good rule. Thank you so much. This was actually really fun. Appreciate your question. You had a really good one today.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Elizabeth. So we have Elise on the line. Elise, are you there?
Yes.
And what's your question for Elizabeth?
My question is, I am working a lot currently with two organizations that I am the executive director of, though I will switch to one and will start traveling. Because I have this busy schedule that takes me on the road sometimes, I'm wondering if it is a slippery slope to have a new partner travel with me on those gigs.
That's a no. So I think that it's important for us to keep our personal and professional lives separate. I think new partners need to learn more about you before they start intermingling with your work life. Also, with taking a new partner into a work situation, then there's also the issue of when do you introduce them to your work family, your work wife, your work husband, your work friends, your work bestie, your boss, you're this, you're that. And new people don't deserve to be introduced to anybody. Sorry, but they just don't. Like, especially work people. Work people should only meet like your husband, your wife, your long-term partner, your, if you're on fiance, it should be something like that, but not just like some new person. You know what I mean? And if you don't take your new partner out to the company shindig by the end of the retreat or whatever, they might feel some kind of way. Like, you just left me in the room while you went to the company, mix and mingle. Are you ashamed of me? And it becomes a whole thing, all because you took some new person into your professional space. Yeah. So I would save that for the person that you're really with. And we're talking committed. It's been some years. They know you. They know your likes and dislikes, how much your work means to you, who your work people are. They already have the backstory on Samantha. They already know about Susan and what, and Susan, they already know like, oh, that's Susan. Okay, that's the one that got the da-da-da-da-da, right? So yeah, no, new partners don't deserve to go anywhere. They go to Red Lobster. And that's it.
Real. Well, thank you.
You sound disappointed.
No, I think it is, it's good to know. And also, when is that point, which is another question for maybe another day, but at what point does that kind of shift happen? But
yeah, when your relationship becomes a committed relationship, when you've been together for some years. I feel like people are always trying to rush their relationships. Like, we shouldn't be committing to each other until, like, to me, it takes years to be able to like really commit. you have to to commit, like to move in together, for instance. That should be some years. Yeah. To get engaged, it should be some years after you move in together. Like it takes a good 5 years, I think, to be able to be like, okay.
5.
Why not? You got a first year of like friendship, then like another year of like dating, and then like another year of like, let's try to cohabitate. Let's see if that works for a couple of years. Like, yeah, it takes a minute. What, you got a bus to catch? Where are you going?
I mean, we all head into the same place.
If we're gonna be together anyway, why does it matter how long it takes for us to get to certain milestones?
You're right about that.
Right, I know I'm right.
All right.
Just listen, you about to get me and Alex into a fight. Let me just thank you for your call. I gotta hang up now and beat up Alex.
Thank you.
And see, and that's the thing. If we're gonna be together anyway, if you really want to be with me for the rest of my life, when does it matter? Why does it matter when we hit certain milestones?
I love how she got on the call and started flexing like, oh, I got this position, director. Do I just fly my dude with me right now? Like that's a boss move right there.
Is it? Or is it a needy move?
I mean,
to where your positions aren't even enough for you.
But the fact that whatever he's doing doesn't matter. That it's
he didn't have a job. He didn't even got no job. He ain't even got no job because he could just go with you wherever you need him to go. But then also, why do you need somebody to go with you to a work situation? Like, I'll be right back. I've never taken not even a husband of mine on a tour or a book tour, but never even thought of it. I'd be like, you stay home, make sure when I get back, my dinner's done, my bath water is fixed. Like, I'm just a different I'm a different kind of girl, child.
You're different, yo.
Because I'm like, you stay here and take care of the house. I'll be back, little lady. Leave the little woman at home.
So that's actually great. It's a good segue because you said you can't work and be in love. Mm-hmm. And now the example you just gave me was you out there working while your husband is home taking care of you.
I can't do the same thing. You can't come with me. I can't focus.
But then you're working and in love if your partner's at home.
You're assuming I'm in love with somebody because I married them? Oh, no. Love and marriage do not go together for me. I need a house. Right. I need a house. Listen, I call them house husbands. If I need a house husband, then I get a house husband. And his job is to take care of the house while I work.
I need further clarification.
Is this another podcast?
No, I need further clarification. Explain why you separate work and love.
I cannot do both. And it took me a while to realize that my work suffers because I'm the girl. I'm still 12 years old in my head, writing my boyfriend's name in my notebook while I should be listening to the teacher. I cannot do what I need to do without looking at my phone, wondering, what do you want to eat for dinner? Like, I don't like that about myself.
But you're a mother. Your mothers are amazing at multitasking. You have to
I'm multitasking. I just don't want to multitask with a man. I want to multitask either in my business or multitask in my relationship. I don't want to have them both happening at the same time.
So then if you find love, you're going to just stop working?
That's what happens.
Wow. So we also have a social question. I'll read that one out.
Oh, yeah, I like these.
So this one's from Kim Connors Wonders. My boyfriend and I both have super busy schedules, so the only time he can really hang out is at night. But by that time, I'm exhausted and I don't want to be bothered. The late night drop-ins aren't really working for me. What are some tips to improve our work relationship balance?
This is a really good question because it happens a lot, especially for people who are working like in the healthcare industry, late night industries like that. Because you end up missing each other, like two shifts in the night. One has a night shift, one has a day shift. It happens all the time. I think it's important to, number one, lower your expectations for how much time you need to spend together. Mm-hmm. You don't have to spend time every single day together, and it's okay. It's okay to be together without being together every single day, right? But I do think it's important to, again, compartmentalize and schedule what days you can be together and make an effort for that. Because it's going to be really tough if you don't do that. It's like playing, what is that, double dutch?
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out where you're going to get in at, you know what I mean?
Last week was Jack's, this week is double dutch. Next week is going to be hopscotch watch. You're going to find a way to find hopscotch and relationships. I don't know how, but you're going to do it.
But I feel like I'm saying these words and like the audience will be like, what are jacks? What is double dutch?
I know jacks. What you mean?
How old are you?
33.
And you know what jacks are?
Yeah.
You ever played jacks?
Yeah, the ball and the little thing you pick it up.
I don't know what you children do. I don't know. I don't know what the kids are into these days.
Okay. So, are you going to tell me about why you can't balance both?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, to be honest, I'm built to be a housewife, so I hate working. Mm-hmm. So when I get a chance to be a housewife, and I mean that in quotations, like just like a more, personally oriented person, I grasp it with both hands because it's where I'd rather be. I'd rather not be working at all. I don't like work. I feel like work is for men. I feel like luxuriating is for me. I just want to luxuriate and be paid to be alive. Like I know it's ridiculous. But
so women fight to work.
I know.
And now you don't want to work.
Feminists everywhere are now throwing tomatoes at the screen. Like but I personally would love to just luxuriate for a living.
So you're not saying all women, you're just saying you personally.
Yeah, just me personally.
Oh, okay. But do you think women can have it all? Like, can you have both?
Other women can.
Yeah,
I just can't. And that's just me.
Okay.
But millions of women are doing all of the things that I just said. They are luxuriating, but they're also taking care of their families. And they're also working, and they're not dropping the ball on any of those things. Mm-hmm. A lot of women are dropping balls left and right because we're only human, and that's fine too. Sometimes you can't handle it all. Sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off. It's just, that's life. Mm-hmm. I personally just rather not work. But so that when I do have to shift into work mode, my relationships suffer. I can only do one thing at a time.
Because I love how you always say there's no rules.
Yeah.
I feel that's one of those things that hinder a lot of relationships because people start like putting up like boxes, rules, and like expectations. And you just break all that.
Well, yeah. I mean, expectations are the fastest route to disappointment. So you have to know what the 4 stops are. Yeah, here's the 4 stops. The 4 stops are, you stop wanting. When you stop wanting, you stop asking. When you stop asking, you stop expecting. When you stop expecting, you stop being disappointed. So there's certain things I don't want in life because I don't want to ask for those things from other people. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole thing.
Okay.
So I don't have expectations. There are no rules. Just do whatever makes you happy. It's fine. And for some people, it's going to be their work. For some people, it's going to be their relationship. And for some people, it's both.
I love that you don't like negate your accomplishments because of relationships. It's like you're able to be a strong businesswoman, but also be a loving mother. And I feel like a lot of the callers, it's not necessarily motherhood and relationships or career that they were weighing, but their issue is like having to choose.
Right.
And so you're just breaking it down in a way like, one, you don't have to choose, but it's okay that you can choose. And I really like that.
Yeah, you can choose if you want to. Yeah. You don't have to, but you can. And your choice could be work. Mm. And your choice it could be either, there's no rules. Do whatever makes you happy. Yeah?
That's dope. So what's your final thoughts?
Well, I feel like we can go back to the rule, which is there are no rules, right? So I feel like women especially should feel empowered to choose either or. Mm. It's okay if you want to be a housewife and just focus on that for a while. Mm. I do think everyone should be able to support themselves because I hate to depend on someone else to take care of me for the rest of my life, you know? So I would always say if you're going to choose to be a stay-at-home mom, if you're going to choose to be a stay-at-home wife and mother, to back yourself up at least with education, if nothing else, so that in the event of a catastrophe, you have something that you can lean on to be able to support yourself later. I think for women who decide to choose their work first, I think that that's totally okay to prioritize work, but also remember, and I've heard this from women that I've worked with in the publishing industry, that, women who got the degrees, have the 6-figure jobs, who bought their homes, who did all the things that they were told they need to focus on instead of relationships, but then find themselves in their 40s without families of their own, without husbands if they wanted them, or wives if they wanted them, children if they wanted them, who they haven't done any of those things. And and they also wanted those things. But they didn't split their time. So now they're older and maybe unable to have children. They may find it harder to get themselves into relationships because of their work, because of their focus. They might find it hard to switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as we get older, we get less. We just get a little pickier. I think because we're more educated about who we are and what we deserve, and it becomes and so we take our time. We're more meticulous, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
Meticulous in who we choose sometimes, because we don't need you. We really don't need you now. Like, we really don't need you. We don't need you to do the things that we needed you before. You know, in a different time period when we needed men in order for us to have or be certain things, right? So I think my final thought on it would be that it's okay to choose one or the other. Safeguard yourself either way. It's okay if you can balance both, good for you, but don't feel bad if you can't. Don't feel bad if you can't do and have and be it all the time. I believe that women can have it all, but not at once. Something always has to give, right? Just make sure the thing that gives isn't you. You first, always. Everything else after. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend. I'll be publishing every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and you can send me questions or comments at askingforafriend@blavity.com. And don't forget, spread the word. Tell a friend. Want more Asking for a Friend? Like, subscribe, and don't forget, tell a friend. Yeah, listen, anyone who... What was that? These people don't know what they're doing. It's because they're men. Like, men never know exactly what they're doing.
I have a beer in me. We're good. Don't worry about me. I'm fine.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.